being still finally in New Orleans was like my whole being was like, no, you cannot do this. We've been running for 5 years. If we stop running, what is going to happen to us? You got to start running again. What are you doing? You can't be still. You can't relax. My name is Atiya J, and this podcast was created as a way for me to discover and express my voice. In its development, it's become a beautiful creative platform for all of us to share and experience stories that will bring you pause as you connect with the truth of your authentic self in their reflection. If you didn't understand that, this podcast is not for you. If you did understand, welcome. Enjoy the tea. Peace. Assalamu alaikum. What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Tea Time Podcast. It's your girl, Atiya J, a.k.a. Tia, a.k.a. TT. And I am here with an episode today discussing embracing fear of intimacy. Now, this is a wild one, so we're just going to start with a story, right? So over this past weekend, I got the beautiful privilege and blessing to be able to go to Essence Fest in New Orleans. So I was able to go to Essence Fest in New Orleans, and it was supposed to be a girls trip, group trip, and you know how it goes. The group trip made it out of the group chat, but it only made it with two of us. So it was me and my sister, my best friend, one who I'm closest with right now ever. I met her in 2023, and we've been through a lot. Still go through a lot together, and she holding it down. I love this sister. And she and I went to Essence Fest and got to go. Now, I have not just let go, let loose, and enjoyed myself in a long time because of all of the things that I have going on, divorcing and just spiritual life coaching and school and getting my business together, money, all of the things that we choose to stress over as human beings that we can be stressed about. Each and every one of those things I've had the pleasure of having to be relevant in my life for the past 3-4 years, in reality. And so this is my moment. I dropped the children off. The trip is taken care of. I am ready to relax, let go, let loose, enjoy Essence Fest. I'm in a fun environment. I want to dance. I want to go out. I wanted to enjoy the convention, the Essence Fest convention. I wanted to enjoy New Orleans, and I wanted to enjoy being with my sister because we talk all the time, but she's in Louisiana. I'm in Jersey. So in this experience, I'm also still doing my spiritual coaching work. So that was a priority of mine, to make sure that I conduct my spiritual practice, that I'm with myself and I'm able to do my spiritual practice while I'm having fun, while I'm on this trip, while I'm having a good time. And one of these days, the first day that we were out in New Orleans, I realized how much I was in my head. I'm typically in my head to where there is always some type of self-talk going on about how I should be acting, what I should be doing, how I should be holding myself, whether or not the way I'm holding myself is offensive to others or if it's likable for others. All of these things are in my head. And on top of that, I'm spending time in closeness, like it's just me and my sister, enjoying time together in New Orleans. So where I wanted to let loose and let go, I have all of these thoughts in my head telling me that I can't, that I'm doing it wrong, or that I'm being offensive, or I shouldn't do this, or I shouldn't do that, and I shouldn't do what I want to do. I should do what I think she wants to do, or just different craziness in my head. And it just dawned on me one day when I was praying that I am terrified of intimacy. Now, intimacy is not the physical intimacy that we're always talking about. Sex is sex, and we get it. Sex is sex. It's cool. Sex is not intimacy. That's physical pleasure. That's physicality. However, intimacy, the best way that I've heard it described is from Mama E, Iyanla Vanzant, where she says, intimacy is into me, I see. Into me, I see. So what I was experiencing on that trip was, number one, I got a friend that she sees me like crazy, and likewise. And so I'm being seen. This is a moment where I am being seen. The entire weekend was about me being seen. Plus, who she is, she likes to be seen. So she's being seen. So I'm with somebody being seen, and I'm being seen. And the contention is that the issue is with intimacy is that I have trouble seeing me because of that inner listening cycle. What I'm hearing within myself is me not wanting to see me not trusting what I do see in me, and me battling and trying to box up and cage in and put into perfection what is me in the moment, what I want to do, how I want to experience. It's like, it's crazy. It's like, if I get ice cream, what I do? Oh, double dutched. I double dutched. Oh my God, that was so fun. I'll put the video in because I'm very proud of myself. Y'all don't even know. I've tried double dutching my whole life, and I never did it successfully, except maybe like 2 jumps one time when I was little. But at the convention at Essence Fest, they had a double dutch team come in, and then they let the crowd double dutch after, and I wasn't gonna do it because I was in my head, and I was like, no, you don't know how to double dutch, you're gonna embarrass yourself. And I say, you know what? F it. I want to double dutch. I'm going to do what I want to do in this moment. And so I double dutched. And yeah, that was fun. I know.
You're liars, ladies and gentlemen. Fellas in the room. Hey, everybody get this jump at the block party. Let's go, shoes on, get on there. Let the dogs out. And then air them out, air the toes out. Follow the beat, follow the beat. Hey, stop me, stop me, stop me, stop me, stop me. Keep it. Hey.
So even in double dutching and having that enjoyable time, the judgmental self-talk that comes after within me, even after enjoying myself in double dutching, happened. Like, did I do it right? I could have jumped some more. Or even that, I'm not even gonna lie though, it wasn't there because I was in a state of play. I was having fun. So this is what I wanted to speak about, because when I reflected on the idea of being the word that came up for me, which was like extreme. It was like some extreme feelings. The word that came up for me was terrified. I was terrified. There was something in me terrified of seeing me, terrified of intimacy, terrified of letting my guard down and just being. There was a part of me terrified of that, of just to relax, letting go of the load, letting myself loose in, like, releasing the stress of, mind you, y'all don't even know, 3-4 years of pent up. Don't even put in the fact that I've been pregnant twice since 2020. I've been pregnant twice. So not only in that time am I dealing with the regular stress of life, but I'm just closing up postpartum healing. It takes 2.5 years for a woman's body to heal, for her to fully come back into herself after giving birth. So who I've been, or how I've been, my state of being has been a little rocky, and a lot of it feels like this. It feels tight and caught, and a huge guard up, and a mask, and not letting anybody in. So being in the space of play and actually opening up and having fun, there was some fear there. And I want to put a pin in that, because as I reflected, I said, well, why was there fear? Why was I terrified? Why is that the label that I put on my feelings of intimacy, my feeling of letting loose, of being with myself and being with my best friend? Why is that the adjective that I use? And while pondering it, something told me to look up the physical associations, physicalities, physical symptoms of fear. So I did that. The physical symptoms of fear are part of the body's fight or flight response, an automatic reaction to perceived anger. Danger. Freudian slip. I guess I'm angry today. These symptoms can range from mild to intense and vary from person to person. Some of these physical signs include increased heart rate, rapid breathing, muscle tension, cold or clammy skin. I get the clammy side of things. Sweating, trembling or shaking, dry mouth, stomach distress, dilated pupils, chills or hot flashes, dizziness or lightheadedness, tightness in the chest or the throat. Ooh. Now, these symptoms are natural and protective in short bursts, but chronic fear or anxiety can lead to long-term health issues like fatigue, immune suppression, digestive issues, or high blood pressure. So, then it came to me, what are the physical symptoms of excitement? Let's ask ChatGPT. The physical symptoms of excitement can surprisingly be similar to those of fear because both trigger the sympathetic nervous system, the body's arousal system. However, excitement is usually experienced as a positive arousal rather than a negative experienced or perceived. So the physical signs of excitement: increased heart rate, rapid breathing, muscle tension, jitteriness, warmth and flushed skin, sweating, dilated pupils, goosebumps and tingling, dry mouth, restlessness or fidgeting. Does this sound familiar here? And smiling or laughing. This is why I love the ChatGPT. It gave a little bonus. It says emotional overlay. The difference between fear and excitement often lies, this is the key, I want y'all to hear this. The difference between fear and excitement often lies in your interpretation of the physical sensations. The body's response is similar, but your thoughts and context shape how you experience it.
I was also watching the Olympics. And this is what I realized this when I was watching the London Olympics, so a couple Olympics ago. And I was annoyed by how all the journalists asked all the athletes the same stupid question, literally, everyone. Were you nervous? Or are you nervous? Whether it was before or after the event. Every single time. And every single time, all the athletes gave the exact same answer. No, I was excited. No, I'm excited. Every single time. These elite athletes had learned to interpret body stimulus. What are the signs of nervousness? Your heart races, you visualize the future, your hands get clammy. What are the stimulus for excitement? Your heart races, you visualize the future, your hands get clammy. They had learned to interpret what their body was telling them, not as nerves, but as excitement. And the reason the journalists said, "Were you nervous?" is because they would be nervous. Athletes would never say that to each other. They say, "That was exciting." So I tried it. I did a little test on myself, right? I'm on a plane. We start hitting some really bad turbulence. I go, and then I say to myself, literally out loud, "This is exciting." And I was fine. And I was fine. So I do it a lot now. When I find myself getting nervous, I say to myself, "This is so exciting," and I'll explain the reason to myself why. So, like an actor, you don't get nervous when you go on stage anymore, but occasionally you do. So I get to go on stage a lot, and I don't really get nervous much anymore, but I was going to present to 3,000 chiefs of police right in the middle of all this police brutality hullabaloo. And I got really nervous because the stakes were really high, you know? And I was literally getting nervous backstage. And I said to myself, this is so exciting. I have an opportunity to talk to a group of people who can actually affect change in this country. This is really exciting. Now, I could have said the same thing. I'm so nervous. I'm about to talk to people who can... But the interpretation was excitement. Just change the narrative. It works brilliantly well.
As a spiritual life coach, as a believer in God, as a believer in a higher power, in a higher universe, in creation, I am a soul having a human experience. Therefore, my thought creates my experience. What I think creates my experience. So when I sat and reflected, and I'm very glad that I did, and I spoke about it too, a little bit with my friend, and then I just was able to ponder it more myself after opening up about it, is that why did I interpret what I was feeling as terror? Why was that the word that came up? And I'm learning about how the ego works, and my ego is very intelligent because, you know, I'm a little smart and stuff, and I identify with that. But my ego is very intelligent. My ego is very swift and slippery. And I'm feeling the body sensations, right? That's regular physicality. And then the ego throws in the word terror. That's not even a word that I use often. I don't really watch terror movies. I like horror, not terror. But terror was the word that came up for me. And why is it that this came in this moment when I'm in a place of finally letting go, having fun, and I'm in a safe environment? I'm with a safe person. I'm engaged in safe activities. There's nothing to be afraid of, but terror was the word that came into my head. And I attached it, as the mind works, attached it to the physical symptoms, and I said, oh my God, I'm terrified. However, in reflection, Allah brought to me, were you terrified? Were you excited? And if you know me, you know your girl don't do roller coasters. That's not something that I do. No. Because I put it into my head that I'm afraid of that because it is dangerous. Although roller coasters, they don't really happen. Similar to somebody who may be afraid of flying on a plane. They may be terrified of flights. Me, I have in my construct of my mind that flying is safe. It's safer than driving a car because there are less plane crashes and car crashes. And that's something that's in my construct of my mind, and also was created because I'm obsessed and I love traveling. So somebody who does not have the same experience with travel or with airplanes, they have a different construct in their mind about the feeling of sweat and the feeling of, you know, what this stuff is when they're about to take a flight, where I interpret that as excitement, as fun. But for someone else, it could be terror. So in this experience of intimacy, of fun, of joy, of closeness, of loosening up, I had my guard up because there has been a habit in what I can track back in the past 4 or so 5 years since 2020. There has been a habit built up of me putting my guard up of with myself, not with anybody else, but with myself, to where I am out of alignment and communicate, or have been. Cancel, delete. We're not holding it today, but I have been in the past out of alignment with myself because of a lack of communication with me, because of a lack of willingness to sit down and just be still with myself, because it was constantly this. After 2020, after I stopped being a flight attendant, I was like, oh, I'm pregnant. Then it was this. Then I had to keep going. And then all of this became a running. Like, shoot, I have to run or something is going to catch up to me and it's going to ruin my life. And then that developed into a fear. And being still finally in New Orleans was like, my whole being was like, no, you cannot do this. We've been running for 5 years. If we stop running, what is going to happen to us? You got to start running again. What are you doing? You can't be still. You can't relax. And wow, this is nice. It's a nice reflection right now, even more, because my mom actually called me with a similar understanding. She actually went on a retreat recently, and she had the opportunity to be still with herself. And she said she had never done that. And if you know daughters and their mothers, all I got to say is my daughter is 4 and I'm 31, and I was 4 when my mother was 31. So we repeat the cycles that were given to us by our mothers. And it's nice to be able to connect with my mom nowadays as we heal ourselves separately together. I love that thing when you could be on the same path with somebody in a different space, and especially my mother. It's nice to have these conversations and to bounce these ideas about this with her, because she is who I learned to live from. You know, as a child, we watch Journey. My daughter is watching me right now. So as I shift and transform and change and I let go of what no longer serves me, she is also doing the same, and she will be able to do the same when she is 31. And perhaps she'll live a different life when she's 31, to where when she has her child 4 years down the line, it wouldn't have been that she was running that entire time trying to keep up with what she thought she needed to do in order to be a mother and to be a wife and different things like that. But that she actually loved herself, sat with herself, and just be. And I pray for that. I pray for that level of intimacy with my daughter, with my mother, with my sisters, with my friends. I pray for that level of intimacy. And the truth is that level of intimacy can only come when I sit and I am intimate with myself. When I let my guard down, when I let the guys down, when I release judgment of me. So as I said, intimacy is far more than just physical intimacy that we typically think about. So I asked ChatGPT to break it down for us. So I asked, what is the definition of intimacy? The definition of intimacy is a deep, emotional, physical, intellectual, or spiritual closeness and connection between individuals marked by trust, vulnerability, and mutual understanding. Now, this is what I'm talking about, right? That closeness, that connection, that is the piece that I experienced as terror, that I was terrified of. And they broke it down into key elements of intimacy. There's closeness, which is a sense of nearness that goes beyond surface level interactions. There's vulnerability, which is the willingness to be seen, known, and accepted without masks. There's trust, a foundation of safety and emotional security. And mutuality, a two-way connection where both people feel seen and valued. And authenticity, this word right here, man. Openness and honesty in thoughts, feelings, and presence. So in my experience of intimacy, what the things that get me rise, right, that terrify me is that closeness, that vulnerability, and that authenticity. And I trust, man, trust. We in a space with trust. Me and trust are in a salsa dance where I still got my 2 left feet, and trust still, is like, bruh, T, when you gonna get it together? when you gonna get it together? It's okay. Just relax, boo boo. But that's me and trust. But when it comes to that closeness, vulnerability, and authenticity, to actually be open and honest with my thoughts and feelings, and then being present there with them all of the time, that is something that I used to get in trouble for. It's something, when you go to school, if you feel in a way, you're not allowed to just feel that way. When I grew up in my house, I wasn't allowed to have an attitude. There was something wrong with me if I had an attitude, which meant I needed to be on punishment, or if I tried to stay away and I took myself out of the presence of my family because I didn't feel like getting in trouble for my attitude, then I got in trouble for not being and showing up for the family. So there was like this caging in of my feelings that I've learned to do, that even in adulthood I practice when I don't have to, but it's a habit, and it's a habit that I am actively learning to release, or I wouldn't be doing this podcast episode right now, for real. And the vulnerability, that willingness to be seen, known, and accepted without masks. Ooh. Vulnerability feels so uncomfortable because it's really like being raw and naked and just being seen. Like raw, naked. You don't have no type of mask, no type of guard up. That is the piece that I think was really getting me going throughout the weekend, like to really be known and accepted without the mask. That was scary. That was scary. And then being close in that interaction as well, under the going beyond the surface level interactions, that is scary as well. It's like, yo, cause are you still gonna like me? And then the truth is, do I still like me when I'm that vulnerable with myself? And perhaps because I don't allow the space to be vulnerable with myself, I don't like me when I get to a certain point, because I was taught not to like me when I have an attitude, or when I'm not in the mood, or when I really don't want to do that thing that you want to do. But it's not gonna kill me if I rock with you, but I really, really, really don't feel like doing it like that, for real. But I'm not gonna say that, because you might not like me if I say that, or you might leave me, and then to me that means you don't want to be around me, you don't really like me. This is where the cycles go. This is where these cycles go because of the habits that I learned as a child, and that I continue in adulthood until today. Because today I am learning the tools, thank Allah, to where I can put a stop to these cycles, and where I'm learning that you are God. You are the creator of your life, right? You are the co-creator of your life with God. So anything that is in your path is absolutely validated, absolutely worthy, absolutely valuable. If you don't want to go somewhere, say it. And you are able to do that. And whoever's reaction, anybody else's reaction does not have anything to do with you. You are not responsible for it. And yet and still, there's a part of me that makes myself responsible for how other people are feeling, even when I don't do anything. I be, states away from people, countries away from people, and if they're not feeling well, I feel like, oh, I could have reached out and done something and taken. Girl, that's exhausting. Live your life. Dang. So the types of intimacy that ChatGPT outlines, I just want to share, is emotional intimacy, which is the sharing of fears, dreams, feelings, and the inner life. Then physical intimacy, which is what we are well versed in this world, which is touch, closeness, and sexuality. And then intellectual intimacy, that's something that I love, just as a Gemini. As a Gemini, this is me. Connecting through ideas, deep conversations, or mutual interests. That's something I'm very well versed in. And then spiritual intimacy, which is sharing sacred beliefs and practice, which is something I'm also very well versed in, and enjoy connecting with people on this level of all spirituality and perspectives, sharing sacred beliefs, practices, or a sense of greater meaning. And then experiential intimacy, which is bonding through shared activities or meaningful experiences. That's a fun one. That's a fun one. Yeah. And that is one that is difficult for me to open up in and let the guard down in, because like I said, that responsibility piece, I think that somebody's experience of a moment that we're in together has something to do with me, when it really does not have anything to do with me, except for what I put in my mind it has to do with me. Then I create the attachment to their joy in an experience that we're both experiencing, because I'm not being intimate with myself in the experience and seeing myself through it. Am I enjoying it? You know what I mean? And that's a habit. People pleasing is a habit, yo. A habit. Put 2 hands up if you people please. Put 2 hands if you people please. Hey, put 2 hands if you people please. Go people please. Go people please. Don't stop that. Don't go. Stop it. And then it just says that in essence, intimacy is the space where souls meet, where people feel safe, seen, and accepted. Intimacy is a big piece. And the key point about it is the depth at which I go in a relationship with myself and with Allah is the depth at which my relationships go. So it's very interesting because, I'm going through a divorce right now, but the divorce that I'm experiencing it makes me not for blame, but the level of intimacy that I was at with myself in the conception and inception of my marriage, it was very surface level, and therefore there was a marriage that is very surface level. And whereas there's always the opportunity for it to go deeper, there needs to be a mutual and kind of like a same movement of depth, where we both need to both be willing to go in depth in our relationship with each other for that to continue. And then of course the trust, the honesty, and all of that other stuff that plays a part in it too, that gets in the way of all of that. However, it's very interesting because intimacy, we always look for it externally, and I think that's a cop-out. For me, let me speak about me. Physical intimacy has been a cop-out for the fear of going deeper in other experiences of intimacy. It's like, yeah, let's throw it on the physical. We'll be better if it's physical. If the sex is good, we'll be good, and that's not true, because there are so many other aspects of intimacy that are involved in relationships. Not all relationships have the sexual intimacy, but you know what I mean. There are all different types. And mind you, it's not just sexual intimacy, it's physical intimacy. So even touching and closeness, and I know for me, touching and closeness, I'm very sensitive about. Just the way that I am, I'm very sensitive about touch and closeness. I love hugs, but when it comes to that one-on-one bonding and things like that, and looking into my eyes and we're holding hands, or you're touching my leg, it's just like, oh my God, you see me, are you gonna like this? Because when do I sit with myself and just touch myself and hug on myself and love myself and feel me? If I don't do that with me, it's gonna be a shock when I'm involved in that type of closeness with a friend or with somebody else, even with my mom. It's awkward for me and my mom to give each other hugs. So a lot of this intimacy behavior as well is learned experience. And I'm gonna leave it there because this is about to be a whole nother podcast. It's very uncomfortable to talk about, and I want to discuss it and talk about, because God willing, this will lead to more conversation that will be supportive for me, because this piece, there's no reason why we as human beings are walking around stone cold and unwilling to be open to one another and open with ourselves and intimate with one another. I remember going to a Korean spa, and there's like the American culture is different, because there is a culture of like intimacy and closeness in other, this is why I love traveling, in other experiences of the world where there are bathhouses where women and men, they bathe together, and this is just a normal thing that they do, and there's a social aspect. I've done it with my friends, and there's like a social aspect to where you can connect on another level, like an everyday space, like let me bathe, let me take care of myself, self-care. And I have this experience with my friends, to where we're self-caring and in intimate, close guard with one another, because we butt naked, but it's about the experience and the care that we're giving to ourselves. And it's like fun, and for that to be a culture, like that's a normal thing, that's weird for the American culture in my experience. And it could just be the way I was brought up. Like, getting that close with somebody is weird. You reserve closeness for your family. That's kind of the idea that I was taught, that I never really vibed with, because they're people in my family that I don't feel that close to. That soul connection in that way is not there. There's a blood connection, there's a love connection, there's a family tie that I always respect and will always be there. But when it comes to that soul connection, like, this is my person, these are my people, this is my vibe, we elevating together, that is not always there with family. So to be able to engage in more intimate, everyday culture and practice with your friends is like, that's powerful, because then you learn who it is that you're gonna come out the group chat in a vacation with, and you can establish bonds that are for life with. You can grow, like, your children will grow up with their children and different things like that. And this is how we create community. Like, without intimacy, we cannot create community, especially in Black culture, right? Without intimacy, the willingness to connect on all levels, there's no village. I've always prayed for a village, and the thing that I run from is my village sometimes. I've always prayed for a village, especially for when I had children. I did not want to raise my children alone. I wanted a village. And I have that in reality right now. And because it doesn't look a certain way, sometimes I shy away from it. Because we're in different spaces, sometimes I shy away from it. And there's a time and place for everything to manifest to its full potential. And the intimacy, fear of intimacy with myself can block my connection with my village, with my community, with my people, as I navigate life, going to the bathhouse alone instead of inviting my friend or inviting my sister to it, or wanting to go to a bathhouse and not asking because I don't have the money for it. And I'm not going to ask anybody for the money because, I should have had it on my own, or I'll get it eventually, or maybe I should spend to buy the children some shoes, or, there's a lot of self-talk that we do that prevents us from doing and being who it is that we want to be. And I know that from experience. So intimacy is definitely something to study. Let that guard down, let it loose, let it free, open up your heart, listen to your heart, be. It's time. It's time. I'm talking at me. Allah says, set yourself in heaven at once. Okay? Allah says that I am a righteous Muslim, no matter what. Allah begs my pardon. Right? God isn't here to condemn each and every one of us for what we may have done or may not have done, but God is here to set us free. And God is here, can't see my chest. God is here, right? This is where God resides, within each and every one of us. So each and every one of us are God, and likewise we are God within us. So there's a need to be still, to commune, to pray, to meditate, to have fun and relax. Like, the double dutching was so fun, y'all don't even know. That double dutching was so fun. The music was so fun. Essence Fest was a vibe. Hanging out with my sister was a vibe. Dancing was a vibe. But yeah, man, it's important that for me right now, where I am, is being intimate with myself outside of a vacation, outside of being away from home, outside of being away from my children. How do I incorporate being intimate, letting my guard down, being with me, relaxing, having fun, playing? How do I incorporate that? Because for me specifically, play and dance and music is key for me to drop the guard, to relax. I need to play. I love competition. I love playing games. I love the joy of, like, you know, playing around, poking fun. That stuff opens me up to be able to just be and stop the judgments and release the inner cycles of judgment and criticism against myself. So yeah, I feel like this podcast went a lot of places. It is difficult to speak about intimacy. No, scratch that. Today is one day of speaking about intimacy, and y'all already know from my last podcast episode that I am learning to be more and more vulnerable with myself, for myself, by myself, as myself, and to open up and express that vulnerability in the podcast. So this is another step into that. I'm speaking about something that terrified me. However, in reflection, in prayer, in conversation with Allah led me and showed me that terror is what I perceived. But if I put on Allah's eyes, if I see through his eyes, because Allah is all eye seeing, right? If I see through his eyes, that beautiful eye of Horus, I love that image, beautiful eye of Horus, right? If I see my light, there was no terror at all. I was just excited to finally be free. I was excited to finally get out and have a good time and not have the obligation of watching out for my children, or, you know, obligation of I need to go to work or anything like that, or somebody is hanging on me mad that I'm having fun and they're not. So man. So now that I know, right, I can incorporate, or I can be cognizant. It's not about doing anything after I have that reflection. It's really about being more cognizant now that if I have these, what are the symptoms? Sweating, sweaty hands, dilated pupils, goosebumps, rapid breathing, racing heart. If I have these symptoms, am I going to choose terror, or am I going to choose excitement? Am I going to choose fear, or am I going to choose love? Am I going to choose to run? Am I going to choose to let that wave of excitement wash over me so I can enjoy the sun, I can enjoy where it is that I am? So these are just some reflections. I pray that they have been supportive for you, useful for you. This podcast is an expression of my purpose. I am in a state of transition where the way I've been living no longer suits me, and I've done everything that I could to search and look for a job, but the truth is I don't want a job. The truth is that it is my goal, that it is my choice to use my skills, to use my voice, to engage in my purpose in order to support my lifestyle, in order to support my children. And I've been blessed and fortunate enough to have everything that I need. And now I strive to use my voice to thrive. So in that, it is my vision to co-create an expressive world while fulfilling my role in God's universal mission, as I live in harmony with life and the truth of my authentic self, all while being obedient, vulnerable, and creative. So this podcast is my vision. This podcast is my first one of my expressions of being obedient and being vulnerable and in being creative with what it is that I am working with, using my light as a way to shine just as myself, and me shining has an effect on other people. So I appreciate for real all of the feedback that I got from my past podcast. It was difficult to record that and to release it. Woo! Thank you. And I appreciate for real all of those who have supported me from the beginning of this podcast since 2020. I appreciate those in my life who are always a support to me. And I ask you to continue to support. Like we all know, finances are financing. And with that, I know that we all have the opportunity to give gifts in the way that we can. So whether your gift is to like this, subscribe, and to share this podcast video, I appreciate that. And if you are able to, if you can give the gift of donation via Zelle, CashApp, or Venmo to support my podcast, if you can make that donation a subscription base, and you can do that consistently throughout the months, that would be very supportive for me as I continue to build my business. I am a spiritual life coach. So I am a life coach. My website has been down. A few things have been down for a while, and I'm in the process of building it back up. However, as you know, websites and all of those things, they take money to be able to run and to function throughout. So as you donate to me, as you support me, you are also supporting my business. And I am open now again for one-on-one coaching sessions. I am in the works for group coaching sessions and other services that you may need. Also, if you would like to be a guest on Tea Time Podcast, hit me up, teatimepodcast@gmail.com, and email me a little bit of your story. Email me, let me know what it is you would like to come on here and discuss, talk about. I'm here. I am here. And lastly, I am a podcast producer as well. So make sure y'all check out the Talking Place podcast now on YouTube and all podcast streaming platforms, where you can listen to sisters Destiny and Latoya chop it up in the kitchen about soul, mental health, fathers, mothers, different things that affect the mental health and the physical health of those in our society, those in our community, where they offer their professional expertise and professional conversation about their take on some issues that arise in our society. So check that out. I thank you for all of the support always. Again, it's my goal to be more consistent with the podcast, so I appreciate you for tuning in. I will see you next time. Peace.